better shake your booties for black girl nerds.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. A pleasure to be with you both. And since we are here for season 2, so apocalypse check, solve the apocalypse in season 1, good to go. Earth still moving, but now we are dealing with some matters of the heart. And the angel and the demon, still not particularly good at their job. They kind of got the rules a little mixed up a little bit, but no one catches it. So beginning with you, David, what do you think is the easier solution, matters of the heart or just solving the world as a whole?
Well, I think Crowley slightly miscalculates how easy it is to get humans to fall in love with each other. That's part of what we see, that, there's the Maggie and Nina story, which I think Crowley thinks is going to be a sort of slam dunk, an easy bit of, and actually that proves much more difficult than indeed saving the world. So they are ill-equipped for matters of the heart, clearly, and that is shown in many different aspects of this season. I think that it's not an area that Crowley excels in, clearly.
Are they ill-equipped because they have their own connection with each other that allows them to continue? And so, Michael, for Aziraphale, do you agree that for Aziraphale also it's more challenging than they thought, matters of the heart versus saving the world as a whole?
Well, I think Aziraphale has gone on a long journey of self-discovery. I mean, he's an angel who started off with an incredibly rigid sense of his own belief system and, the team that he plays for. And over time, and particularly because of his relationship with Crowley, there have been questions asked, there are blind spots, there are contradictions within that belief system that have been a bit shaky. And so for someone who has had quite a lot of difficulty in being self-reflective, I think that means that the matters of the heart, he can be quite a stranger to not feeling things, but to being able to express that or understand that in a way that makes sense to him. So I think he finds that as complicated as Crowley does. Even though he is a being of love, there are certain sort of quite simple ways of expressing that, and then there are other ways that are very, very complicated, and we sort of explore a bit of that in this season.
Mm-hmm. Back over to you, David. Like Michael just mentioned, Aziraphale has gone on this journey and identified these blind spots. For someone on the flip of nurturing and loving, so to speak, can blind spots exist in a person like that or a demon like that? Can they have a blind spot?
Oh yes, I think. Well, I mean, Crowley certainly is a much more cynical creation, and therefore is perhaps more realistic about many things than Aziraphale is. More worldly, certainly. More ready to admit the inconsistencies of the world and of belief systems and of many other things. But I think the journey that he's been on is probably to discovering that things can be more complicated than a cynical mind might like them to be, and that the path of least resistance is not always the only solution to something. And he probably bumps up against that in trying to get Nina and Maggie together. He thinks it's going to be quite bish bash bosh done, and of course it's more complicated than that because it involves humans and fallibility and capriciousness. So he's they both go on sort of concurrent, if opposing journeys that are bringing them probably ultimately closer together. Not that Crowley would ever like to admit that.
I know. You guys are so cute. I just love all the interactions, and they're wrapping me. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful, wonderful season. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Thank
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you for your time. I appreciate it.
No,
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. So since our time is short and sweet, and this is a wonderful, wonderful season, I will begin with you, Quelin. What do you think that Muriel adds to the group to make them successful in a sense on their ventures. We meet, she's so sweet and kind of docile when we first meet her to be part of the faction that she's part of.
I mean, I think, and Neil was very clear about this, and he's spoken to me about it quite a few times, and he was just like, actually, you know, on second thought, there are no angels that are actually good, Quelin. So we've really just needed to have somebody who is innocent and represent all the goodness that you can actually have in heaven. And they might not really understand how the world works or anything, but I think that's what makes Muriel really exciting character to play, that they go on a journey, but they approach this journey with curiosity and excitement, you know what I mean? So I loved it.
All I kept thinking was, you got to love upper management when they come visit you at the job and have no idea what's going on, because they got the kind of scholastic knowledge of it. For Liz, for you, I immediately got big boss energy. But when I talked to David and Michael earlier, they talked about their characters' blind spots. Is there a blind spot that exists besides the practical working knowledge of what's going on with the humans? Is there a blind spot for Saraqael?
I think what it is if there is one, and there is, it's that they've lost sight of the way that Muriel is and has that innocence. But actually, Saraqael is really jaded, I think. They've been doing this a long time and really has lost sight of the good. I don't think Saraqael really cares if there's Armageddon or not, you know, in the first season. It's like, so I think the blind spot is really not seeing the joy and the goodness that is there. And instead it's just like, what is it now we've got to worry and do? Really, which I think a lot of us can get really caught in that in the world. And I think she represents that, really.
I love that. You know, I love that, because looking at how social media influences so many things now, it's all about the highlight reel. The highlight reel, we got to keep going to get to the next highlight reel and not appreciate the journey or the balance of what makes the journey great. Shelley, over for you. I love the way Beelzebub appears. It's very exciting to say the least. It's exciting and interesting. So what is the most, outside of the appearance, what is the most extravagant, interesting quality that Beelzebub has in this mix? Because there's a lot of lay people who are non-believers who don't know who that is. So what would you say the most exciting thing about a character like Beelzebub is?
I think it's that they are unapologetically, they just are. Like, with that comes an enormous amount of, a real lack of self-awareness, probably. And a sort of idea that they really know. I mean, this is typical, I think, of a lot of the characters in the show, but they think they know everything, and equally within the one sentence can kind of like make claims to knowing everything, and then also to going, oh, I didn't know that. So I kind of think, but unapologetically so. It's just kind of like, right, I'm in the here and now. It's kind of childlike to me. It reminds me of a toddler. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm here. I am fully formed, and I don't even know what name you would call that. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of they're quite early on in their own self-evolution, and I think that there's something quite charming about that.
There's everything about these characters are quite charming. You know, that everyone is kind of in the gray, and that's what we need, because everything is so extreme that we see out there now. So I just have a lot of love and appreciation for layered people in the gray, because they do exist.
Love it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you, all of you, for your time. Have a marvelous season, and I just really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you, both of you, for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank Thank you so much. I watching the two of my favorites, not lost on me. Favorite things, coffee and music. Love those things together. Love you guys together in the interaction. So Nina, I will begin with you. And I think about being in the right place at the right time and divine intervention in a sense. So when you think of Nina, your character Nina, and the crisscrossed path of life that happens with her and Maggie, how much do you think about divine intervention to even shape what that looks like?
Well, I mean, I think without that, I'm not sure how far Nina and Maggie would have got on their own in terms of furthering any kind of interaction, let alone relationship. I think that particular kind of divine intervention was not particularly altruistic. It was all to do to serve their own ends for Aziraphale and Crowley, which is, I guess, one of the themes of Good Omens is that heaven and hell might be this version of heaven and hell might be full of quite self-serving individuals, and we are actually the fallout. The humans are the fallout. Makes things quite messy. Yeah, yeah.
And Maggie, for your character, Maggie seems the more kind of tentative of the pairing of the two of you, but at the same time, more risk-taking and more willing to step out. Is that a fair assessment? And how is fear the motivator, or how's the motivator for Maggie to even indulge that thinking?
Yeah, that's a lovely question. I think she's incredibly sure of her feelings and some parts of herself, and then about 50% deeply insecure and has no idea to get the goal which she can see so clearly. She has no idea how to get there. So I think to have a moment where she has to not think about herself actually, and somebody else becomes not more important, but more important actually. By her kind of doing that, she's able to be seen by other people as brave, which means she can start to see herself as brave actually, I think. So I think she is very scared and deep down very brave, and that's a fantastic dynamic to play.
In this version, back over to you, Nina, in this version of heaven or hell, it just in life in general, we have to have good things and we have to have bad things too. You have to have bad things to appreciate the good things. So in this version of heaven, is it that clear? Because there's a lot of people kind of blurring the line between good and bad, the traditional definitions of what those are.
Sorry, what's the question? Sorry.
So with the balance of you have to know bad to know good. Yeah. So is it that clear, you feel, in this version of heaven and hell for all these characters? Is it that clear of you got to have good things, have bad things?
I think that's the argument that's running through the whole series and the first one as well, that you have to have the other side of the coin to have a full rounded
coin.
Otherwise it's not a coin. But so yes, and I think that runs through very clearly in this one, because it's about balancing personalities against one another, and one individual is ruled by fear, maybe another one will step up and be brave for the other person, and that happens with the humans, and that can also happen with the supernatural beings as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you both for your time. Have a marvelous season, and super fun. Records and coffee. We love those things together. Thank you so much. Take care.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds.